It's a year and a half since we first walked this road in southwest Scotland as tourists. So much has happened since that first visit to Dumfries and Galloway, and we never imagined then that we would soon be able to walk this same path as locals, living in our own cottage just a few miles away. Now that it's the new year, this video is our update of life so far at Bramble Cottage, and everything that led us here in 2024.
Hi, I'm Cameron, this is Stina, that's Suki, and that's Bramble. We moved 200 miles to the south of Scotland to take a chance on a life that we wanted to live. Welcome to Bramble Cottage.
We first visited Dumfries and Galloway on a spontaneous weekend break because, coming from the flat open fields of the northeast, I was feeling a desperate need to see some trees. And not just any trees, but the lush green sort that grow on the west side of the UK in the warmth of the Gulf Stream. This is the Wood of Cree that lies deep into the western reaches of Dumfries and Galloway. It's a temperate or Celtic rainforest, and it was one of the main things I wanted to see on our first visit to this area. I was not disappointed. But it was so wet. Whether out in wilds like these or visiting local towns like Dumfries and Annan, never in our lives have we ever been soaked through so completely so many times as on that one trip a year and a half ago. Nevertheless, despite barely steaming our clothes dry on the B&B radiator each night, we fell in love with the area, and I began to fantasise about what a new life might look like in a place like this. I happened across a house for sale, something of a cold comfort farm that definitely needed a lot of work, but which came with a plot of land and outhouses right on the edge of a river. I was just fantasising back then, and the idea of moving felt like an impossibility, but I just couldn't shake this place from my mind. That was why we ended up walking this path, just a short distance from that house, as part of our little mini break to the southwest of Scotland. Perhaps that's how it happened that I spotted a job in the area that seemed a perfect fit for Cameron not long after we got back home.
The last decent job I found in Angus ended with the pandemic, and further opportunities in my line of work are few and far between in the area, so I'd been struggling for a long time. I'd been looking for a way back into my previous career, so I applied for this job Stina found. And I got it. With my new role, our lives changed dramatically from the start of December 2023. To start work, I first needed somewhere to live. That's a lot easier said than done in Dumfries and Galloway, where there are very few rental places available and some of the local agents seem to limit access to viewings. However, one friendly agent helped us out and I managed to get my hands on a small rental flat in the area. Meanwhile, Stina stayed behind in Angus with the cats and began packing up our lives there.
For nearly 6 months we lived apart with regular trips back and forth whenever Cameron wasn't working to move boxes of stuff into his tiny and cold new flat. I worked remotely, so it was easy for me to stay behind and do the packing and DIY needed to get our previous house onto the market. We lived in this town centre tenement house for nearly 5 years, and honestly, we've loved it. It has a lovely atmosphere and character, and apart from the kitchen on the ground floor, it's also high up, beautiful and bright. We'd been gradually doing it up, starting with the worst rooms in the house, and we'd only just finished having fun decorating our bedroom in rich green and orange before Cameron moved away. It's so sad that he had so little time to enjoy it. I'll be sad to say goodbye to this place, but leaving this area feels like the right move for us. We came to Angus for Cameron's work, which vanished, and so the area now holds very little for us. There are also certain major limitations living here. We live in a town centre, yet feel a long way from any real centres where exciting things are happening. Our small garden is not attached to our house, but it is a short journey down a close or alleyway past other houses to get to it. In the opposite direction, our house adjoins the back of a pub, and the close leads past the pub and all sorts of grime before opening onto the high street. People are often surprised when they see what a beautiful house is hidden away behind all this.
Fast forward to spring last year, and Stina and the cats finally joined me in my little, still freezing, flat. We were still regularly travelling north to pack and sort various things, but life began to regain some sort of normal routine. However, we found the idea of returning to rental long term almost unbearable, so we were determined to find a real home. That's when we found Bramble Cottage. We got the keys in June 2024, and you can watch our first video about finding and buying that from the link in the description. Eventually we got the Angus house onto the market too. Everything was moving in the right direction.
Sadly, that sense of moving forwards did not apply to Cameron's job. From the start we knew it was something of a risk. It was struggling, which is Cameron's favourite kind of challenge, but it turned out it was struggling a lot more than we knew when Cameron took the job. The place shut down in summer 2024 and Cameron was made redundant along with everyone else. Cameron's still looking for real work now, and we're still paying 2 mortgages, so we're really living life on a shoestring with our single income right now. But on the upside, life at Bramble Cottage has been busy, and having Cameron free to fix everything that isn't working properly has been something of a godsend. I've only been able to join him on these projects when I'm free at the weekends, but I think we've done a lot already. Here's a rundown of our biggest achievements so far.
We replaced the exploding shower unit with a new one we acquired via Gumtree and added a cosy shower curtain.
Where once there was a shabby Wendy house full of wasps, we've built and installed 2 large compost bays. We have a lot more tidying still to do in this corner. To make our compost bins, we destroyed the old and dangerously rotten decking. And then we left that area looking like this. The spontaneously added bird feeder has been an amazing addition here, but turning this from a building site and into a nice little seating area is definitely higher on the to-do list. We demolished another rotten shed next to what was once a lawn of very little personality, and we've added some paths, branch heaps, plants and trees. It really doesn't look like much yet, and there's much more still to do, but already the wildlife is moving in with birds, bees and fungi exploring this space. Spring will be exciting.
Fearing the boiler might not be enough to keep us warm over the winter, we also set about getting at least one fireplace into working order too. This meant removing nests, adding cows and restoring one of the stoves. Finally, having lived out of boxes so long with rooms in disarray and many more boxes waiting to be unpacked, we spent several weeks before Christmas trying to make at least some parts into a nicer and cosier space. We'll link all of the individual videos about these projects in the description. And then there are still a few key projects at the top of our list of to-dos. Our boiler, which we've mentioned in several previous videos, still isn't working properly. It stayed nice and warm, but it keeps losing pressure, and we've found and fixed several problems already, but nothing has stopped it from doing that. Even the engineer who came out didn't manage to sort it. We have a couple more things to try, but we've decided to leave it as it is until it's a little warmer, so we can more easily turn off the heating to test it properly. We need to completely refurbish the other bathroom where Stina found a huge long-standing damp patch under the lino. The walls behind the tile seem like they might be disintegrating too.
And finally, at Bramble Cottage, gravel removal will be that never-ending project to end all projects. There's so much gravel here, and in 5 different types. We have no idea where to put it all, but we're desperate to remove the vast majority. We've been hit hard by frosts this winter despite being so much further south, and I genuinely suspect this whole site is a degree or 2 colder than it should be just because of all the gravel and concrete the predecessors put down. I'm keen to make more room for greenery, which should help warm and protect the space in the winter and keep it cool in the summer. And look at this! Where gravel and lawn have already been removed, the bulbs I planted in the autumn have started coming up. The days are getting longer again, and soon it'll be spring.